Hi everyone, welcome to this new series of podcasts of Luxurynsight in partnership with fashionnetwork.com. Today I'm really happy and honored to have Isabelle Gex with us. Isabelle is president of Shiseido Global Fragrance after a beautiful career with Chanel, LVMH and Luxurynsight. We're very happy to have you with us and among our advisory board. Thank you, Isabelle, to be with us.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. It's a pleasure always to be with you and to discover not anymore the fragrance, but also the startup universe. Thank you.
Our pleasure, and enjoy your podcast.
Hello, everybody. It's Friday, May 28th, 2018. I'm in the company of the very lovely Isabelle Gex.
Hi.
Hi. Isabelle has had a pretty remarkable career, the kind of career that only very clever, beautiful French women have in luxury and perfume cosmetics. Just so the audience knows what a good career she's had. She began at one stage, she was the international marketing director of the perfume and cosmetic division of Chanel, one of the greatest luxury brands in the world. After that, she was hired by the largest luxury conglomerate in the world, LVMH, where she was the Director General of the perfumes of Givenchy, and that needs no introduction to Roberto Givenchy. He was a legendary designer, and she later on then became president of the whole luxury perfume group of LVMH Empire. And finally, last year, she was appointed president of the fragrance division of Shiseido. For the uninitiated, Shiseido is the great perfume and beauty group of Japan.
Thank you.
Let's begin. I think that's fair to say. Let's begin in the beginning. Where were you born and how were you brought up?
Okay, so I was born a long time ago, I would say, in France and more specifically in Paris. So I'm a real Parisian. I'm quite proud of being part of the Eiffel Tower monument.
Wait, what are you from? What arrondissement were you from?
14. So I was born in 14.
Yeah.
And now
you went through the French education system?
Yeah, French education. So I'm still I'm always been based in Paris, but the opportunity to work with amazing, as you mentioned, international brands. So I travel a lot, but I never experienced the expatriation as a French people. But I love, I enjoy a lot, traveling and discovering culture and working with people and trying to how to adapt and how to take in account all the cultural asperities or differentiation we have and how to make a French brand more global.
You studied biology, I believe.
Yeah.
Where did you do that?
So, I did that in Paris, Université Pierre et Marie Curie, the famous one, near the Seine.
The most famous lady scientist of them all.
Absolutely, and it was an inspiring journey, and it's very strange because I was fascinated as a student by biology, all the cellular, all the mechanism from the plants and the seeds or the trees, and how a kind of small seed become huge trees or huge flowers, and how they resist and adapt to the climax, to the change, so very fascinating.
Did it logically bring you into the perfume industry?
No.
After college, what were your first steps?
To be honest, I was in a class préparatoire,
Right.
and because I love the biology, and so I prepare agronomy, and just because of biology.
Yeah.
And I was not at the time. I was very evasive, and I was looking about enjoying pleasure in studying, but not thinking about next step and about the job. And that's where the issue started. So after my master in biology, I started in Nestlé.
Here in Paris?
Yeah, here in Paris, with the director of the research department, and has a very nice first internship, supposed to conduct me to a job in that department. I realized very rapidly that the differences between the study and the job. And even if I was fascinated and passionate by that the people and the way to work in research. I felt something very narrow and very heavy for me, and not enough open mind. And I remember a kind of very funny anecdote when I was in the canteen. With the people I was looking, I was with them, and always with the white shirt, and we're like that, and some very few group of young, beautiful people, always near the windows and laughing and having fun. And I say, "What are that people?" And they tell me, "No worry, this is marketing." And I say, "Okay, this marketing, okay. I don't know what marketing is, but I want to be part of marketing." And that's why I changed.
It was like a kind of Woody Allen train moment.
Yeah, exactly.
You wanted to change carriage.
Exactly. And I said, okay, let's forget that, and I want to be marketing. So at that time, computer was not there, but I was maybe looking in my Minitel what marketing is. And I decided to go ahead for marketing, and so I went to ESSEC for MBA.
Oh, you did, and you did a master's in
marketing. And master at ESSEC because I
so all the best kind of French colleges.
Yeah,
education was quite important in your.
Yes.
In your
yeah. So and then because of the discovery of what marketing was, and I have to say that it was very interactive and a kind of experience course where we have a lot of study with people from the industry to come, and I was very passionate about communication, creating products, and I said, okay, I want to do that absolutely. And I started at Kraft General Food at the very beginning.
Here in France?
Yeah, here in
Paris.
Again.
One thing I've noticed, I'm a fashion editor for 30 years, but when I follow the appointments of people, certainly in LVMH and other groups, is how many times French luxury companies dealing with a certain kind of sense of elite and quality and craftsmanship hire executives who've trained in America, with most notably Procter & Gamble, you yourself, with mass market corporations. Why is that?
I think on the mass market side, it's a real very good start to learn the mechanism of a business. Thinking about the sellout. So when I started at General Food and after at Bourgeois, we were, looking at the NPD. It was a Secodip at that time, and the sellout figures and how it works. And it's a kind of very good training to understand and to have all dimension of the job. And in craft especially. And it was the same in Procter and in Colgate, where as a young starter, product manager, we were in the middle of the business. I remember when I started at General Food, my first meeting I was with the president, the CEO of the company. And because I was the youngest in the company, I was the one to start giving my opinion on a copy strategy from the agency. So I was super stressed because there was 20 people around the table, and from the CEO from the company, the CEO from the agency, all the director, all the group manager, marketing director. And because I was the youngest, I say, okay, start first. What do you think? And you have to express yourself, so it's very strong.
And know what you want to say.
Yeah.
Or before you go into the meeting, be well prepared.
Yeah, exactly. So that means that you have to make your own point of view. You have to structure. You have to explain and try to be smart.
And also in the American way, to be very results orientated.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that doesn't happen in France, but it's a very specific training. So but when you were in there, my understanding was within Kraft, you worked on Hollywood chewing gum, which is about as mass as you can get. And later on, you ended up working with Chanel No. 5 or something, which is sort of up at the top of the line of the perfume tree. Was that not a bit schizophrenic, or did you learn stuff from the chewing gum that applied to Chanel?
What I learned, I had the chance to start on even in a confectionery, but about brand. And Hollywood chewing gum was a real brand, and the brand equity was something on which we were working a lot at that time. So at the very beginning of my career, I experienced the importance of a name and a brand. And then to Chanel, obviously it's absolutely different because it's not only a brand, but it's a physical, iconic object. And that makes the difference is obviously the name and a more worldwide perspective, working with creative people and artistic director. For me, craft and bourgeois. So bourgeois was different because when I jumped from craft to bourgeois, it was because of the culture. The CEO of bourgeois at that time came from General Foods. So,
the CEO?
Yeah, the CEO. So he was very interested to get some people from the same culture and the same management, the same way of working. So he attracts people from craft to bourgeois. And in bourgeois, I discover the importance of beautifulness, of design, how to create added value with design and aesthetic.
To make it more attractive to the final consumer.
Yeah, exactly. And that's different from the foods, because on the food you and the confectionery is super small. I work on key school, so you have just a piece of paper.
It's relatively modern.
Yeah, it's very minimum in terms of design.
For the benefit of the audience, of course, Bourgeois was historically the more mass perfume business of the Wertheimer family. They've since sold it, but they owned that before they owned Chanel.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the very beginning.
Yeah, and in a way, people forget that the Wertheimers. Arguably, Chanel is the single most famous fashion brand in the world, and with a unique kind of DNA. But they did begin as chemists in the mass.
And I was told at that time that Chanel was only 20 people in a small part of the building.
Really?
When Bourgeois was a massive, part of the company.
This was when? When did you join?
I joined Bourgeois in 1890.
Okay, yeah.
And I left Chanel
when you were,
in
17.
Almost. No, a little bit more. You are so
and
nice.
you left when? When did you? When? But sorry, within Bourgeois, you graduated into Chanel. Was that what happened?
It's what happened. I will say that probably Alain Wertheimer noticed, because we had the strategic plan, and it was for Chanel and also for Bourgeois. So it was when I was exposed to them, and I created some interesting asset for Bourgeois perfume. Such as a TV commercial with a naked man, a very handsome guy, and this comedy.
A model or a famous?
Yeah, a model. And no, he was Brazilian. Absolutely. And it was a very nice TV commercial at that time for Masculin, which was a perfume brand. And I would say it was a kind of milestone in the industry, because thanks to this introduction of this new TV commercial and a new perfume, we get back to the leadership position. So it was very efficient. And from aesthetic point of view, it was very noticed, even by Mr. Wertheimer. And he put it in front of Jacques Ellul and saying, look, what the people from the other part of the garden are doing with a so small part of money. I was told that. And it was the same. Berger, he got this movie, I was told, and the art director was called by Berger to say, how are you able to make so sophisticated TV commercial for a mass market brand? And maybe because of that, I demonstrated that had an aesthetic sensibility to add emotion and to add to bracket.
Was that before Jean-Louis CF Saint Laurent naked?
Sorry, it was a long time ago. It was in.
Was that before? Because Saint Laurent did a.
No. It was the you're mentioning the picture.
Yeah, the famous picture.
No,
of Saint Laurent.
The picture was maybe earlier. It was in the 70s or something.
Okay,
but here it was a commercial with a narration. It was a storytelling. So the guy was naked. He was having a shower. The phone was ringing, and it was his girlfriend. So because he wants to take the telephone back, so he was, walking in the flat, getting out from the shower, and we follow him, and he was naked, and all the lights were very sexy and very sophisticated. And among it was, in fact, all the creative asset till the end, everybody was convinced it's Chanel, Saint Laurent, or Dior, or a luxury brand.
But in the end, it was
Maxula.
It was masculine.
Masculine, it was the name of Équateur. The name was Équateur Masculin, the new perfume.
Masculine was the brand.
Yeah, and Équateur was the new
model.
flanker on the line. And because of that, and because I have maybe, so it was, the proof of a kind of sensibility, and it was successful. And in the meantime, I demonstrate also during many meetings conviction and strong personality.
And you believe, you were passionate about what you believe.
Yeah, exactly. And, I was not at that time, and even now, a kind of a so-so woman. So I have ideas. I try to convince to go ahead, and giving all the elements for the people to be able to follow me.
You're not a social woman. En français, ça veut dire quoi? Vous n'êtes pas une femme sociale? You said, I'm not a social woman.
No, a so-so.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
No. Okay.
You don't sit on the fence.
Oh yeah. It's not. Oh, I don't know. Or I'm not the one following the opinion of the other, and even if the other are in the hierarchy higher than me.
So then you work for Chanel, reporting to Jacques Ellul.
Not reporting to Jacques Ellul, but working super closely with him.
He's still there now.
No. Unfortunately, he was now. He was not anymore with us, so he left. He died a couple of 9 or 10 years ago.
Oh, I beg your pardon. But he was the guy who ran it for many, many years.
Yeah, for many, many years, and he was the son of the previous creators. He was a very strong artistic director, and I have to say that I work so closely with him. And at the beginning, it was not so easy, especially because I came from bourgeois, and they say, okay, I hate marketing, you are marketing. I don't like marketing people. And you are the one, pushing a chariot. I don't know how you sell that. A chariot.
Yes, a shopping basket.
Yeah, shopping basket. So how can we work together,
He was dismissive of you.
Yeah.
Even after the beautiful ad.
Yeah. And he was, very, at the beginning, so, and day after day, we built together a kind of very strong relationship, in the sense that I was never here to have an artistic point of view, but just providing the objective, what we are looking for. The objective of that is to create something different to address this part of the business. So, and when he came back with his creation or ideas, I was able to tell him, sometime, okay, and say, what do you think? Tell me. And he was super rude, and I say, okay, Jacques, for me, it doesn't deliver the message. because we are talking, and at that time, I was working on the Parisian, which was a new skincare line, and we are talking about advertising. And he was doing the skincare in the same way we are doing perfume. So very sexy, a girl, And I say, it's not the benefit that we are not providing an image to become a super sexy girl with this product. It's because of skincare. We need to reassure. We need to have a different tone, and
the message of skincare is what? Is to
it's
more a question of health.
Yeah, health. Seriousness, because the brand was investing for 10 years in serious, in its research and development. So
there's a real quality to the cream, which
quality and rational benefits. So the idea is not to have an image, an average image, but how to convey that these products are so precious, and it could help your skin to feel younger and better. And it wasn't a question of be seductive, super, how you want to go with me tonight. And I say, Jacques, stop thinking with your, and I say,
I think there was something in France between the traditions of doing the thing and the use of modern technology, that they created kind of meaningful cosmetics. They weren't just...
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if it's specifically French. Now I was working with Japanese, so the way...
Exactly, some people think Shiseido is perhaps...
Yeah, because they are, from a cultural perspective, the resource from the nature, because it's an island, is limited. Yeah. So they have to add technology in to preserve the nature. So it's part of the DNA of, the Japanese research, to add synthesis, to add transformation to protect the nature. So they are much more in tech
in touch with nature, you think?
Yeah, to protect the nature.
Ah, okay.
So
Shiseido perhaps had the reputation for having the single largest research and development department of any major cosmetic brand. Is that your experience?
yeah, absolutely, and especially very recently, we had a chance to be in Yokohama, where we are just having the opening ceremony of the new flagship of the research from for the group. About having 1,500 researchers working in a very amazing building with all technical facilities, intelligence, artificial, all the tech. It's like the building is something. It looks like a Google or Facebook with people from research. Yeah. So it's a kind of a NASA mixing with Facebook, and it's an amazing. And all these research people have all the more cutting-edge technology available in the world to think about and to shape the future of the skincare, of the makeup, and even of the perfume, and how the interaction of all the data we can collect and how to make more advanced skincare, taking in account all the discovery we can have on the second skin, and to protect from X-ray, to provide beauty innovation for a better world, not only aiming from economic values, but also for social values. Okay. And innovation has to deliver social value and to help people to work, to be more in conscience with all the nature.
That's very specifically Japanese, that idea.
This is very Shiseido, I will say.
Oh, okay.
And what is Japanese is to think in long term. Yeah. And Shiseido is was born from pharmacy, so the wellness and how to help people to have not only the beauty but to feel healthy, and to introduce the wellness dimension in. Our mission statement is definitely part of the DNA of Shiseido, so it's very specific.
Let's roll back to videotape. Let's go back to Chanel a bit. You were there, you were, whatever, 21 when you went in, and you worked on, eventually though, on perfumes too.
Yes, absolutely.
Now what was your role there?
In the perfume at Chanel, so at that time I was appointed by Mr. Vertemer and all to work on a new project. So with the code name was Z, and it was at the end it started as a new project, and it finished to be Chance and Coco Mademoiselle.
Okay.
So it was after the next milestone after Allure, and at that stage. My mission was to how to integrate the vision of America's US market, thinking about luxury, and how to make something more inclusive. I remember the conversation we had, less French.
Less French?
Less French. Because the vision, Chanel was very French, and Jacques has a vision of luxury, which was very elitist, very aloof. This kind of, okay, we are Chanel. It's not for everybody. And as you know, from a cultural...
Vous êtes?
Oui, who are you? At that time it was, for the first time with Allure, there was different campaign in Europe and in US.
Really, how did they differ?
The French were because Allure, at that time, the meaning of Allure is... if you are French, say, elle a de l'allure. That means that
there's something very attractive.
Allure with Chanel, it's wow, like that. And all the advertising, it was white, young woman,
aloof,
and one was very controversial at that time. Was she has a baby, and she was having the baby like that.
Is the photo or the video?
Yeah, it was a photo. It was only print. And as a distance, not as a mother. Yes. Okay, that's the baby. Like that, a portrait de famille. And all the campaign, and the US, they fight a lot, say, no, we cannot learn. It's so... allure doesn't exist in English, and it's been alluring. And being alluring, it's having charm, be accessible, smile. And the campaign for the US was with smile, mixing people with different color of skin, and be super relaxed, being, you know, very American. And Jacques Ellul say, no, it's not Chanel, it's not luxury. You know, they drink Coca-Cola, they eat burger, they don't know what luxury is. So I just arrived at this moment where it was like that, you know, and they were looking as
Tendu.
a lot of tension. And the idea was to avoid to have two voices for the same products. And so I was the one to make them collaborate and to integrate.
So what ad did you make in America in the end? What did the American ad look like for Allure?
I came after that. And for the new feminine fragrance,
yes.
the idea was to
reunify.
Yeah, reunify and being able to have one single copy for the world.
Yeah.
So having diversity, expressing something a little bit younger, with a little bit more lively and not stiff and aloof. So, and it was, you know, part of my job to reconsider what kind of insight we can put in and drive the creation with Jacques Ellul.
But Karl Lagerfeld never really played a role in that, or did he?
No,
not so much.
Not so much. He was in a makeup a little bit because of the collection was, you know,
be included. Yes, of course. Yeah.
And validated. But for the perfume, they are, you know, two very creative director and very separate.
Because at the time, who did the makeup for him? Peter Phillips? No.
No, at that time it was Dominique Moncourtois.
Ah, okay.
And
Later on.
And Heidi Moravec.
Who?
Heidi Moravec, you remember?
Yeah, I don't. I know. In my time, it was Peter Phillips. You know, who then went to.
And after I went to Dior.
To Dior.
Yeah. Right.
But. So you were given quite a lot of part to the image of the brand.
Yeah, the image. And
in the biggest part of the business.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? I mean, it still is. It's still 70-80% of the business.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of my major, I would say, I don't know if it's a contribution, but the very interesting and to understand what does it mean being an artistic director and the creation, it was the spray, and you know, with the iconic bottle. The number 5 iconic bottle, so you see it. And when I started at Chanel, so I asked to see all the products. And I was very surprised to see that on the advertisement, every single communication, print or TV, at that time was with the iconic bottle. But the reality of the business was different, because the EDT and the spray, all of them are in a rectangular black box, black spray, but not the iconic. And because the iconic was a flacon,
it was
and not
a simple, rectangular, clear.
And a flacon, not a spray. You see the difference, the flacon?
Because you would...
a flacon, you have to open, and it was only for... Because at the time, that was I was not 17 when I joined, a little bit older, and the iconic design was only for perfume, extract.
Yeah, which sold very little.
So sold very little. And I say, wow, if we are doing it that way, the iconic will become something for museum, but never in the end of the consumer and the client, because the client, they want to have the usage of the spray. So, and I say, why not transforming the flacon in a spray? So,
but the same bottle, but with a spray.
Same bottle. Yeah. And I explained that to Mr. Vettemer, and he said, wow, very good idea. And I go to see Jacques, and I say, hey, Jacques,
we're going to do
you
this,
know, because of that, no, why not? I said, no, I don't want to do that. And it was a big battle starting, and I was in the middle of that. And finally, we did it. Okay, so, and we did it preserving the integrity of the design. I mean, having a cap in glass, not disturbing or breaking the harmony of the design, of the proportion, so to make it purely as it is. And it was a real technical challenge to make it happen. So it took 2 years to achieve the exact and perfect and the excellence in execution. When you see it, it's the same as a flacon, but it's a spray, more or less.
It was that complicated technically to do?
Very complicated because of the size of of Le Goulot. So it was very technically. And when I left Chanel, so I had a very friendly and very nice dinner with Jacques. And he told me, you know, Jacques, I say, yeah, when you asked me to work on the flacon, you remember I was so upset and I was, you know, you make me so nervous. I say, yeah, I remember. I say, but I have to say, Jacques, you were right. And I say, yes, but why you were so like that? And say, you know what? It's because it was a design of my father. And you obliged me to touch the chef-d'oeuvre of my father. And it was awful for me. And I didn't want to touch my father.
His own famous
Artwork.
design.
So very interesting to see, you know, the connection and where the emotions are and the...
One thing what is always struck when you talk about luxury to French people, or French decision makers,
Is always this idea of emotion, aesthetics, expressing something, this idea of a merchant of dreams, which one doesn't get so much in other luxury countries about them. It's more a question of pure marketing,
Yeah.
you know.
but you're talking about how you shot this masculine ad and you injected a sophisticated sexiness into it. What was your thinking when you saw the Brad Pitt ad for Chanel?
From a strategic perspective,
Yeah.
having a guy,
Yeah.
a man,
Yeah.
famous,
Yeah.
sexy,
Well.
talking about a perfume wear by a woman, it's very interesting. It's another perspective. And because of that, you know, I say, okay, it's a great idea. And it's different from, you know, always having a sophisticated and seductive girl, self-confident, and, you know, at the end, seductive storytelling. So because it was disruptive, and because this perspective and this new point of view was very interesting. Having said that, from executional point of view, you know, for me it was not enough Chanel. I mean, even if I can understand the rationale behind, you know, being more, you know, a bit cool and a guy not very sophisticated, and having something very conceptual, but at the end, you know, when you just receive it, it was not exactly what, you know, kind of Chanel asset, I will say.
Did you ever see the American college versions of it?
Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
a
there
few
was-
of them. Yeah, and few of them are so.
Are quite funny, you know
Yeah,
what I
very
mean?
funny, but
Tiny little students in, you know,
Yeah, so.
in the Midwest taking the Mickey.
Yeah, and let's say, you know, if you are considering, so if he had an impact because everybody, you know,
Talked about it.
Yeah, talk about it. So it could be, but I'm not sure that it was a way, you know, Chanel wants to be considered as a disruptor and to be the more humoristic, or you know, it was not necessary, I guess. The original idea. Just to come back when you are thinking, you know, to a difference between American and French people. When I was, you know, starting to collaborate with the US, I remember. Because I was a kind of messager between the two cultures. Just to give you an example, so it was at the time, so the allure for women was introduced. Because in America there was a lot of master brand. You have a brand for women, and after it was proposed in a men's version.
Yeah, like.
Obsession for women, and
Yeah.
after for men.
Okay.
And American people, so very American, say, okay, we have allure, let's do allure for men.
And you guys said that.
Okay, and in French, you say allure for men. So, and they say, no, we cannot do that because we are not strong enough in masculine. Chanel, we don't make fashion in masculine. And they say, so many conceptual, rational ideas on the idea of doing stuff, not on how to do it. And so I came back and I said, yes, but why not to try? And at the end, I asked to have the green light to start it, to create it, and to judge
How it works.
if it works or not.
A prototype, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. But
Of the set and the packaging.
yeah, exactly.
So that was quite a bit of money, you know.
Yeah, but you know, it was not costing a lot.
Because you have the department.
Yeah,
anyway,
we have this department, and it was just, you know, a déclinaison. We change the color, and we have a more masculine. But the idea was, okay, But I remember I was very shocked about the two approach. The Americans say, okay, let's do it, and after we decide. So let's go ahead. Go and act, and after we see.
That's right.
Instead of French saying, okay, let's think about it. And we have to make study, files, conviction, interview. Are we able to make masculine or not? And it was another approach. And I have to say that the Americans are much more, as you say, result-oriented, action and decision. And we are in reflection, a long time for decision, and after it's too late.
Well, you know, I'm Irish, but I'd say half of my career I've worked for the Americans, for Condé Nast, for Associated Press, for the Dow Jones, Wall Street Journal, and maybe half my time I've worked for Continental, Le Figaro, a French company, Fashion Network. I worked in Italy. And I find the decision-making process very long, not just in France, but also in Italy. There's a lot of meetings, a lot of discussions, everyone has to talk. And it's very hard to have a decision at the end of the meeting. You often have to have 2 or 3 meetings.
Yeah.
But the Americans sit down, the meeting is short, it's 15, 20 minutes, and at the end, someone makes a decision. Someone makes a decision. Okay, we're going to do it this way, that's the date, whatever, come back and we expect this, and that's it. And you move on.
Yeah, it's more efficient.
How is it in Japan?
So, you know, my first year in Japanese culture, and I was discussing with Richard, you know, because I used to work with Japanese people for Chanel or for Givenchy, but most of them are French people living in Japan. And sometimes the French, and I was always saying to Richard Collas, a very good friend, that he was more Japanese than Japanese people.
That's what they say about him.
And in Japan, what's different is the way is, you know, they love to have everybody around the table and the harmony and the consensus.
Yes.
So it's not frontal, you cannot say, and we have to prepare everything before being able to make the decision all around the table. So, for my first year, I will say that they need to have everybody around the table. So sometimes you have many people around the table, and when you have too many
22.
Yeah, too many chief in the cook. In the cooking, it's a little bit difficult, and we, you know, in terms of time, it's not necessarily the more efficient. But I have to say that our CEO Watani-san has both culture, because he used to work for Coca-Cola for many years. So he's very American-driven process and in his culture, but he's Japanese. And he was able to make some very drastic change in the company, and rapidly, in less than 4 years. Now we have all the international meeting in English. So English is the...
even in Japan?
Yeah, even in Japan. English is the official language.
Corporate language.
Corporate language. So, and he used to say that when he started, you know, the people say, I'm not able to talk. And at the beginning of the couple of years ago, there was a translator, but now everything is in English, and most of the leading people and at high level are, you know, we are working in English on a daily basis. So just to say that when the decision is made, the way to implement is quite rapid.
Oh, at least that.
Yep.
My first meeting I ever had in Japan about 20 years ago, when I worked for Dow Jones, Condé Nast. I went there to discuss the deal to make Vogue in Japan. And with Jonathan Newhouse, whose family owned the company, he's the big boss. One other colleague, a Frenchman who ran Asia Pacific, and a translator. So we arrived in. On the other side of the table, there were 17 Japanese people, you know.
Yeah.
So, and at the end of the meeting, we hadn't made a decision. You know what I mean? It wasn't even like, we will send you a letter of understanding. It was like, you know, I was like, hold on, did we make any decision? And they were like, no, it doesn't happen like that. No.
Yeah. So the time is, a kind of Harmony is, and consensus is something that it's part of the culture, and I have to say that when you enter, and for me I consider it was part of the journey, discovering how a Japanese company is working and at this level of the company, because I had the chance to report directly to Watani-san. You have to be very humble and to accept that that's the cultural role, because I'm just French and I'm starting in a Japanese company, so the game is different. And we have to be very respectful of that, and to understand that even if it's not exactly sometimes you want to go, quickly, and okay, let's make it like that, and without having everybody in copy, and we can make the decision. Okay, yes, one or two.
Yeah.
And but we have to respect. We cannot do that. It's an offense.
Yes.
So it's a question of to be. If it's hurt you too much, or if it's too frustrating,
You shouldn't be there.
Absolutely. So it's part of deal.
Yeah, I agree. As my mother used to say, son, you're an ambassador of your people as soon as you go abroad. You have to behave with a certain
Yeah, exactly. And
a little bit of diplomacy and tact.
yeah, exactly. So and I have to say that for the moment, for me, is not. I do not suffer from that. It's much more that the company is in transformation. So because of transformation, when you merge two different companies and to become the one Shiseido, creating a new organization, new matrix organization. It's not because it's Japanese. It's because it's a new organization to be setting up. So sometimes it's not so easy. That if you compare to other company with an organization created with all the process have been approved and efficient for many years. It's easier because you push on the button and you get all the elements you need. Here it's different. We have to build up, so it's very challenging because of the transformation.
Let's go once again. Go back. Why did you leave Chanel for LVMH?
So it's interesting. When I did that, everybody told me, "Oh, you cannot do that. Nobody left Chanel." And I said, "Yeah, but
it's very rare."
Yeah, and because Chanel and so it was much more a personal decision. So I was 32 or 3 at that time. No, 30, a little bit older, 35, and I met. It was a question of a project and a rencontre with somebody. So Givenchy. So the guy was Alain Crevet. Alain Crevet. And he was appointed as the new CEO of Givenchy, and he came from Procter & Gamble. So he has no background in luxury business. And he was looking for a kind of partner coming from the luxury business. And somebody gave him my name, so he called me. And I was absolutely...
We're in the 90s now.
No, it was in 2001. Okay, and because of Chanel, I did the makeup. I did the skincare with Precision. I did Chance. I did Coco Mademoiselle. So I had a nice life cycle, if I can say. And here he explained me. So first he gave me a rendezvous in a bar, so something less corporate. And the guy, he has...
Good bar, which bar?
In Levallois, near the office.
Oh, okay.
Because it was convenient, but, very casual, not formal. The guy was a rocker. He was a player, a guitarist player and singer in a band. And during the interview, the conversation we had, this was not an interview, it was much more conversation. He explained me, and he was very transparent, having sharing with me the project. Why he decided to go there, and a kind of storytelling, and I had a very good connection with him personally, and he was more or less the same age, and we were quite young. And the challenge was amazing because the brand was a sleeping beauty, and the idea was to wake up and to make something successful. And I was saying that I had the chance to learn a lot within Chanel. I mean, how to protect the DNA, how to transform, how to evolve, and how to... and sometimes, I have some other ideas, but because Chanel, you need to take time, blah, blah, blah. So I feel a bit... not a kind of urgency, but I want to act on my own and to create something.
Yeah.
A little bit, with less constraints, if I can say. And it was, a nice white paper with somebody looking for,
For change.
Yeah, for change. And we have the white paper and we have to define the roadmap for what we want to do.
What would you call as your big successes there? The things you're most proud of doing at Givenchy?
I will say running in the same time a global rebuild of the brand equity. Thinking where you come from, what's the story, what's the insight, and how to embody the new brand equity in manifesto. And we create in a very short time, in less than 18 months, a new fragrance, very irresistible, and a new makeup line. And in the meantime, so all together.
Yeah.
So it was, and because it was so short, because we are responsible and totally autonomous. And say, okay. And I dive in the brand, and I say, okay, this is Audrey Hepburn, Hubert de Givenchy, and I say, I rebuilt the story, and I convince the people that we have to revisit our heritage.
But who was the designer at the time?
At that time, it was...
It was right after, wasn't McQueen?
No, McQueen left.
It
was
Julian McDonald.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, who was not such a celebrated designer.
So
when the brand fashion-wise
exactly.
was in.
And I started when I
weak.
started that. Riccardo Tisci was not there.
Yeah.
And Riccardo joined after a couple of years after, and it was absolutely amazing, journey and a team builder adventure, because the brand was declining. People were lost because we had many cool marketing, but not something consistent with the brand. So the brand was lost. Mm-hmm. The financial results were not so good. And to build a project, embarking people, not only my team, but all the commercial people from everywhere, saying that we have to go back to who we were with pride, go back to Hubert de Givenchy, to style. And I say it's, for me, coming from Chanel, I have all the French heritage because of Hubert de Givenchy, very French, but adding this kind of spontaneity with Audrey Hepburn coming from the US. And for me, it was exactly, the good marriage between chic and accessible. A kind of new French luxury. Very, not American, because it's French style, but this kind of, smile, and that's why with the statement with the TV commercial of Very Irresistible, we took Liv Tyler. She was a young actress. She was 22 at that time, and the TV commercial was Givenchy starring Liv Tyler as Very Irresistible. And it was
as a kind of modern day Audrey Hepburn.
Yes, exactly, and it was
black and white.
Absolutely, and it was
with the hat.
Absolutely, with a hat, with a smile, and she was in her bathroom, having her hair dryer, and as a shooting, and when she
was quite Holly Golightly.
Yes, exactly, but at the end with a smile and driving, something less.
And that worked.
Absolutely, and now, so it's 15 years after, the makeup is still there with Nicolas Degène, and I work with him, for a long time as a very good friend. Very Irresistible is still in the top 20 worldwide, so it was the rebirth of and the turnaround of the brand, and and it was an exciting adventure.
When Riccardo Tisci came along, did he begin to work with you?
Yeah, I worked with him a lot for another project, and it was Ange ou Démon. So and we started Ange ou Démon.
Oh yes,
Ange ou Démon, and so I had a good connection with Riccardo when he came and when he started to be a little bit more, defining a style on Givenchy, a little bit more black, gothic, and with a lot of iconic elements. Because when you are in perfume, the idea, without any fashion, you have to create something. But if you are create just story, without any link to the brand, it's marketing. It's not, how to be differentiate and to build something with consistency, and to have a proposal and to attract, and to say something bigger than a product. So I was very I pay a lot of attention on the brand. At that time, because the fashion was not existing with no code. And it was easy at Chanel because Chanel there is so many codes, so you can reinterpret. You pick one and you go ahead.
So many. Chanel had a dozen of them.
Yeah, and I have to say that Karl Lagerfeld did an amazing job, reinterpreting and giving visibility to the codes.
He was very faithful to the codes.
Yeah, faithful, but always with new codes. That means that for many, many generations, the codes are still there.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So, and when you are...
Tissue was a much more disruptive design.
Yeah, it was disruptive, but he created
a darker,
some... Yeah, but he created some...
Yeah,
but he created some codes.
Yeah.
And so it
what
was...
were the codes he created?
He has a lot of chain. It was Gothic. With lace. Mm-hmm. So he came back some elements on the accessories, for instance.
That you can,
blason. You remember the blason with the
buckle?
Un blason, you know the...
It's a buckle.
Yeah, a kind of buckle. This and for us it was interesting because we can pick some that. Not necessarily in product, but all the 360 degree when you are, preparing for digital, for merchandising, so for the coffret for Christmas. So you have the pattern, the same coming
the
from...
The visual signifier.
Yeah, so it's, he had a spirit.
You went to Shiseido. It's a group with quite a lot of perfumes. I always think of it as, I know it no longer controls Jean-Paul Gaultier, the license, absolutely. But it still has Issey Miyake.
Issey Miyake.
Which was a kind of defining, that was its first, when BPI did it. I remember when I worked for Women's Wear, I wrote about it with Chantal Ross. It was a kind of legendary.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you've Dolce
Gabbana, which is a new, and we're starting 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Narciso Rodriguez, an amazing success story with a fragrance and an iconic image and design also. Zadig & Voltaire, so very French and rock and sexy brand. We have also Issey Miyake, so we talk about Issey Miyake.
Which is still
very still there, and with
with a very faithful consumer.
Yeah, absolutely, with a very pure design and evoking the water and very conceptual. We have also Serge Lutens, which is part of the portfolio, so a very strong brand, as you can imagine. These
are all licensing agreements that she said.
For the other, Serge Lutens is quite different because it's, the relationship between Mr. Serge Lutens with Shiseido started a long time ago, and it was part of the artistic director for Shiseido and so on and so on. And Shiseido as a partner has a very strong relationship, so it's not a license. For the other, they are licensed, so and quite old, and we have also Elisab.
Wow.
Yeah, Elisab, so very interesting.
Once again, the Phoenician couturier.
Yeah, absolutely. So each single brand has its own territory, and it's a kind of very, different story. Different perspective, and the storytelling is different, and the territory and the brand equity are quite different.
Finally, the first thing is your advice.
Yeah.
And secondly,
advice for a young
person trying to get the first step into this industry, and how you would recommend they behave.
Okay.
And secondly, how do they know it's the right industry for them, that they're going in the right direction?
Well, I will start even with the second question.
Okay.
Because how to feel if it's something that suits to you, your skills, or what you want to experience. We are in the perfume and cosmetic. We are doing not anymore products, but storytelling. So you have to be ease with what's the story, what's the point of view you want to have in the market, what's the impact, how can you contribute to create something better for the world. You have to be familiar and to love artistic values or aesthetic values, because it's our meaningful values, not only product, something else. And I think that at the end our industry is delivering or conveying benefit for people to feel in wellness, be more, paying attention to, not anymore in seduction, but how to feel healthy and in a wellness, and having fun and keep dreaming about something. So this is the purpose of the industry. So if you feel something, if it resonates to your values, okay.
Then you're the right sort of person.
Yeah, you are in the right. And the advice is, for me, is to be sure, or to come back again on this question, if you want to have a nice career in this environment, I think being able to work with the two parts of your brain, right side and left side, it's help. Because you have to be very business oriented, because the world is like that, and you need to deliver results. And you have also to deal with creative people. So, and it's emotional. So how to be rational and emotional in the meantime. You know, sometimes it's difficult for people. They are super rational, but never emotional. And sometimes emotional people cannot be rational. So if you are able to connect and to consider that you have these two facets and you can work with that, and you love and you enjoy to do that, you are in the right industry. And the advice is, to be curious. To be curious, curiosity, I think it's a driver, because in our industry we are always providing newness. You know, it's a very fast-moving industry compared to the others, because we have to, that's the rhythm of the industry, to introduce novelties. And now with a new digital player, coming everywhere, the market is disrupting. And the makeup, they did their revolution on the digital. For the fragrance is not the case. So if you have some ideas to crack the model and how to talk about, or to expose the fragrance on the social media, so you are a future millionaire, because we need to find a way to see and how to talk about fragrance on the digital and on the smartphone.
That's the next big step.
Yeah, I would say.
Isabelle Gex, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Godfrey. It was a pleasure also being with you.